Welcome to Inside the Game, an 8-part instructional football series featuring the NFL's best coaches and players. I'm Dungy, your host. Being a veteran of 14 years in the NFL, and with my life still very much focused on the game of football, this series is special to me. Today, my broadcasting career and my involvement with youth football gives me the opportunity to give something back to the game that has taught me so very much. Inside the Game is a series that has given the great players and coaches of the NFL an opportunity to give you an in-depth look at their world. Every position from quarterback to special teams. You'll enjoy teaching from great coaches like Tony Dungy, Steve Mariucci, Mike Holmgren, and Herman Edwards. And you'll hear personal stories from players like Curtis Martin, Donovan McNabb, Michael Strahan, and Kurt Warner. This installment of our Inside the Game series focuses on playing defensive back.
You have to have a tough mental guy. And it's not always the fastest guy. It's not always the biggest guy.
Point blank, you had to want to challenge people and had to love the chance to go out there and, compete against somebody.
It's a guy that mentally can go out for 50 plays and continue to go out there and compete.
The most important thing, you got to be able to read quarterbacks and be able to play the ball.
You got to be able to run and be able to open up your hips and run with receivers.
One thing is we have nobody behind us. We have no line of defense behind us.
It's the one position where it's the easiest to learn, but the hardest to play.
One mistake can be a touchdown.
And you have to have a short memory at corner. You have to be a tough, mentally and physical guy out there.
It's really fun. You get to play against the best at all positions.
I think it's the toughest position in the league.
The secondary is the last line of defense, and only the strong survive. Our featured clinician is my old buddy Tony Dungy, former defensive back with the Pittsburgh Steelers and now head coach of the Indianapolis Colts. Tony coached DBs as a defensive coordinator and understands the position as well as anyone in the NFL. Tony will be joined by some great players like my old teammate Rod Woodson and Troy Vincent, who offer insights on all aspects of their position. Each tape will be organized into 3 dimensions: body, mind, and heart. And that's the way we've organized the content throughout the series. We'll help you to develop the mechanics to get the body performing. We'll inform the mind so that you'll be deepened in your understanding of what's required at each position. And we'll inspire the heart with the stories of players. In each installment, you'll get messages on character formation from players and coaches in a series we call Marks of a Champion. This series is hosted by Hall of Famer Anthony Munoz. You'll also get great insights from a host of NFL coaches in our Foundation segment. The mechanics of each position are unique and require specific skill sets that must be built on a solid foundation of fundamentals. Here's Tony Dungy getting us started with footwork.
First things we have to do as defensive backs, which is unique to their position as to anybody else on the field, have to learn how to run backwards, okay? Most other positions it's bad when you go backwards, but as a DB, you've got to do that. So we start out just trying to work on form and trying to see if they can go in a straight line, doing things the same way as they do running forward. So we'll do some drills just backpedaling right on the line, and we'll watch their form and technique and just see how they do going backwards, and then we'll add some different things to it. Put James on the line and I'll have him start right here, and really all I want to see is his form, see if he keeps his shoulders square and uses good arm movements and stays straight on that line. Okay, nice and easy all the way back to the numbers, keep going. All right, next man. Okay, Brian. And again, we just want to see if they've got balance, are in a good position where they can go backwards. Then the next thing is you got to be able to transition. Okay.
You know, it's a taught thing, and you've known it through Little League and high school and then going to college, but you got to be able to change direction. And if somebody's moving one way, you have to move with them, especially playing defense.
Receiver's going to come down. He may continue to try to run by you where you got to turn and cover him, or he may break a number of different ways. If he breaks here, James has to break at this angle to try to cut me off. Okay. If I break this way, he's got to break at this angle. Okay. Or the other thing I could do is run a hook route, come straight back where he's going to break that way. So that'll be the next thing that we'll work on, and I'll point him with the direction of the ball. Break this way, left, right, straight back to me, and we'll see how they do with that. Okay. Okay, James gonna start back, same motion, and just coming out of his break, transition. He doesn't know which way I'm gonna send him, he's just gotta follow the ball and react. Okay. Good. It'd be easy and be great for us if the receivers always ran in straight lines, but they don't. So they've gotta be able to angle in their back pedal. And I'm just going to come at him nice and easy, a good pace, and get him to move, and we'll see if he can do it without crossing his feet, okay? All right, now next thing DB's got to be able to do is he's got to be able to catch the ball. So we now incorporate both of those things. We'll do the same drills, we'll have him break, but now at the end, they got to finish up by catching the ball. Okay. All right, James, nice tempo going back. Well, a lot of people think that professional football is really complicated, and I suppose in some ways it can be, but it really doesn't have to be, and our defense is not that complicated. We play three basic coverages. We have a cover one, which is a single free safety in the middle, man-to-man coverage by everyone else. We have a cover two, which is a two deep zone with 5 underneath players, and then cover three, which is 3 deep zone and 4 underneath. And I'll start with the man-to-man coverage first. Basically, our corners are responsible for the widest guy on the field to their side, and they can play either in press coverage where they've got a man-to-man, or they can play it 8 yards off. But they're going to shade the outside of that receiver. They're going to play the widest receivers, or what we call the number one guys, man-to-man. Okay? Our strong safety always goes to the strength of the formation, and here we've got the tight end on our left side. He's the number 2 receiver. The strong safety would have him with an outside shade man-to-man. Our free safety is free in the middle, and his responsibility is really to patrol that deep middle area and read the quarterback. Everybody else is going to play outside shade and try to funnel these receivers into him. Our 3 linebackers, our Sam linebacker, our Mike linebacker, and our Will linebacker, they have the 2 backs man-to-man. Again, you can get a mixture. You can get press coverage by both corners. You can get both corners in off position, but they've got to cover those guys every route they run, man-to-man, and really knowing that they've got help inside from this free safety. From that same look, we can get to what we call cover 3. Our 2 corners and our free safety will split the field, the deep field, into 3 parts, and the free safety is going to have that middle 1/3 zone. This corner is going to have the outside 1/3 zone, and the left corner would have his outside 1/3 zone. Should really be tough to throw deep balls against that, because now they don't have to mirror a guy man-to-man. They don't have to chase anybody. They're only concerned about who comes into their area. Now the underneath area, that area from the line of scrimmage to about 12 to 14 yards deep, that's patrolled by the strong safety and the 3 linebackers. So this is a good defense that we use when we don't want to give up big plays. We don't necessarily want to match up with the receivers man-to-man all over the field. The negative to it is we don't get tight coverage. They can throw quick balls, throw out here short passes, and make catches, but that's not our goal in this coverage. We want to be safe and sound and make sure they can't get big plays on us. The one defense that we play that is kind of in between that, we call it cover two, okay? And it's still a zone coverage, but we can get a little tighter coverage because now instead of dividing the field into thirds back here, we're going to take our two safeties, our strong safety and our free safety, and we're going to divide the deep part in half. And we're going to give them a little bit more room to cover, but the ball has to travel farther. So they have more time to break and split this field up in half and cover the deep area. That gives us now 5 people that can play underneath zones. And we worked on this a little bit, where our corners now try to jam these outside receivers, not let them up the field easily, and then they're defending the flat area, and our 3 linebackers have the inside zones. So now we've got 5 people in the short zone. We can play tighter coverage short, and we know we're a little bit vulnerable deep. Between those 3 coverages, they give us a lot of change-ups. We can use our fundamentals to try to stop people and mix the quarterback up a little bit, but we don't do so much that we confuse ourselves. All right, Brian, we'll put you right here being the receiver, okay, and we'll put Jonathan at corner and really talk about the 3 different things that Jonathan has to do as a corner. Number 1 is off coverage technique, where we're playing either zone or man-to-man, but we're about 8 yards off and we're trying to maintain that cushion, and it's just the drill, back pedal drills we did. Jonathan will start here and he's about 8 yards off. He's gonna be on his outside shoulder, and whatever Brian does, he's just gonna mirror him. Try to gradually let that cushion close down to 3 or 4 yards until he's ready to make the play. But Brian's just gonna come off and run a route. Jonathan's gonna keep his position, cushion, and be ready to drive, okay? And that's a technique that has to be used. The second technique we use in man-to-man coverage would be when we decide to bump him. When we need tighter coverage, we can't afford to let him catch a 4 or 5 yard pass, and now it's a much different technique. Jonathan is gonna be on top of the receiver. He's gonna try to make him go wide. He's gonna try to get his hands on him, and then he's gonna try to read his shoulder and be in very, very tight position on him all the way down the field. Okay, and he's gonna try to stay right there, and you can see how once he gets his jam and gets his hands on him and tries to disrupt his route at the line of scrimmage, then his concentration went right to his torso area. He can't see anything else. He can't read the quarterback. He's just got to focus in on his man.
I'm looking at his chest area because I want to put my hands on him. I don't never want to get on the line in a jam position and not touch it.
Got a lot of guys out here can make big plays, and you want to give yourself an advantage by making a big play by keeping your hands on the receiver.
The third technique we use is what we use in cover 2, where he's just playing a flat zone. He's got help behind him, so he's just trying to disrupt the receiver's route and then zone his area. So he's going to be about 4 yards off, and his whole goal is not to let the receiver come straight up the field. He's going to try to jam him, force him wide, or force him inside, and then he's just going to zone that flat area. Okay, and Jonathan will give us an example of that. Set, put. Good, keep going, James, good. You can see the difference there. He's not covering him man-to-man. He gets a jam and disrupts him, but he doesn't then go to focus on the man. Now he focuses on the quarterback, because the quarterback's going to be the guy that tells him where he has to break in his zone coverage.
Quarterbacks drive back, and they tend to pump one way and try to come back another, but like my coaches tell me in college, don't break until the hand is off the ball. So, we try to watch the hand of the quarterback. The toughest thing is when you've got this guy man-to-man, okay, and you're really watching him to see where he's going to go and where he's going to break, and then you're starting to drive, and now to be able to figure out when he runs that route, can I go and cut him off and get in front of him and make a play on the ball and catch the ball myself?
I think you got to be able to, read the receiver first, and once he looks up for the ball, you know the ball is coming. So then after he looks up, then you become the receiver if you put yourself in a good position to make a play on the ball.
A good DB has to understand you can calculate different gambles you can make, but to be a fundamental sound DB, you want to look for the receiver first, then the ball.
When Jonathan's got him covered and he's in position, now right there, he has to make a decision. Am I in position where I can turn around and look for the ball and play it, or am I out of position where I have to just play the receiver? And what we always tell him is if he is stride for stride and shoulder to shoulder and he can touch that defender, now he can feel where the defender is and he can look for the ball and become the receiver and catch it. Okay? If that receiver has gotten him beat, if he's done something wrong and the receiver is a step away, now he can't look back for the ball. The only thing he can do is watch the receiver and the receiver's running motion, and as he starts to make the pocket, then he's going to try to stick his hand in there and knock the ball out. So if he's not in position, he is going to do that right there and not look back. But it's always a fine line of when to look back and when not to. So we do drills just like that. We'll put him in position. We'll have him look back. Okay, he cuts him off back and finds it. We'll put him out of position so he won't look back and he'll just stay right with the receiver. That's it. Good.
The mental part of the game is huge. If you want to be good, and if you want to be one of the best on your football team or in your city, you have to be mentally tough for that, mentally, physically tough.
I look for a guy's toughness, mental toughness. It's a position that requires that. I think when I'm always looking at guys, I always tell the scouts, don't look at his good games. I want to see when the guy got beat and how he's going to react.
You find a lot of guys who are very talented and can play, but you find the difference in the game comes through the mentality and who can adjust faster, who can read the quickest and be able to let their natural talent and athleticism kick in.
You want to study film, you want to understand your opponent. In doing that, it makes you mentally tough. It makes you, the game can't surprise you, so to speak. When I see a formation, I'm going to say, I seen that formation. They're going to run so many plays out of that. And once the play starts, it's not going to surprise me. And that makes you mentally tough.
Because you got all the talent in the world, but if you don't know where to go, it doesn't mean anything. And you have guys now, that's 4'3" and 4'2". If you're a 4'5" guy, you can play like a 4'3" guy if you just know the probability of a play coming your way.
There's great athletes and they can make great plays, but the guy that breaks down mentally is the guy that's probably going to get you beat in the tight games, and it's not going to last in this league.
Studying the film, being through it, going through the training camps, that makes you mentally tough. When you're tired and you don't really want to do it the next morning and you have to do it the next morning, that makes you physically tough, but also makes you mentally tough because you have to do it fast. If you don't do it fast, more than likely you're going to get hurt. All those things. But I just remember Chuck Noll saying that, this game is played from the shoulders up. And, after being in this league, NFL, for 16 years, that's definitely true.
Now we're going to get into some zone work, some short zones where the basic thing is to be able to read the quarterback, to determine where he's throwing the ball and get a break and see how much distance we can cover. And what they'll do is they'll drop to their area. We've got two receivers set up, and I'm going to be the quarterback, and I'm going to either aim at one or the other, and they're going to try to break, get there to intercept the ball. They can't be in position to make the tackle. But this drill just shows them how much ground they can cover if they really focus on the quarterback. So Jonathan's going to start out. He's going to get a bead on me. I'm going to drop back, and I'm going to be his indicator for him. Okay, sit. He'll get back, get set when I set, and make the break. Okay, and then now we'll switch it off. Okay, and he's just dropping to his designated zone and reading the quarterback. Sit, sit, put. That's it. Sit, put. And that drill can be done all over the field in a number of different ways. Another drill we're going to do for our corners in cover two, when they've got they've got the flat zone,
And that can either be in front of them or behind them. We'll set up the same drill, but we'll put a receiver in front, a receiver deep, and then I'll either throw the ball to the front man or the deep man. Sit. That's it, good. All right, switch it off. Again, he's got to read my shoulders, my eyes, to whether I throw, he's getting the zone flooded in front and behind him. That's the way, good. Good, and Brian gets one. Sit. That's it. Now, the safeties get the same thing. Okay? A lot of times they have to cover what we call half the field. Okay? They're covering the deep half, and they can get two receivers coming down. In the running game now, we would prefer to play cover 3 or cover 1 in the running